Right now, as you watch this video, the U.S. Navy has aircraft carriers positioned in the Persian Gulf and the Arabian Sea. This isn't speculation. This is happening right now. And on March 7, 2026, China confirmed something that should have been impossible. A $5 billion weapons package for Iran, including 50 CM-302 missiles, the same carrier killers that already failed against the U.S. Navy in actual combat. This is going to change how you think about what China is building. Because what looks like a $5 billion mistake is, in fact, the boldest intelligence operation of the last 20 years. Here's what's actually happening. China isn't sending weapons to Iran. It's sending sensors. The target? The U.S. Navy. On that exact same date, U.S. officials confirmed the delivery. 50 CM-302 supersonic missiles, multi-layered air defense systems, anti-stealth radars, anti-satellite interceptors. All of this in the middle of a UN arms embargo that China itself had supported reinstating just 6 months prior, and with the Trump administration publicly threatening heavy strikes against Iran if nuclear negotiations failed. Let that sink in for a moment. China violated an embargo it had itself endorsed, while American aircraft carriers patrolled the region. And the star of this package, the CM-302, had already been tested in real combat against the U.S. Navy in June 2025. It failed. So why do it? That's the question that changes everything. And the answer rewires everything you think you understand about Beijing's strategy, Iran's actual role, and what's at stake for the U.S. Navy over the next 18 to 24 months. The headline said, 500 missiles. Technically true. But those 500 aren't what's keeping the U.S. Navy awake at night. Let's dissect the $5 billion package. Not the headline number, the actual contents. The 500 missiles, from the title? FN-6 MANPADS, shoulder-fired portable air defense systems. Short-range stuff designed to take down helicopters and low flyers. Dangerous to pilots, sure. But they're not what sinks a $13 billion aircraft carrier. The 50 CM-302s? That's different. This is China's supersonic anti-ship missile. It skims the water, hits Mach 3, and was designed to overwhelm American defenses. The saturation tactic is brutally simple. Don't send one. Send several. Different angles. Force their defenses to choose which threat to handle first. 50 of them just arrived in Iran. That's the real threat. But the package doesn't stop there. 6 HQ-16B systems, medium-range surface-to-air missile systems capable of engaging aircraft and cruise missiles up to 40 kilometers away. 3 HQ-9B systems, long-range ballistic defense, the Iranian equivalent of the Russian S-300, designed to intercept targets 200 kilometers away. 4 YLC-9B radars. And here's where it gets interesting. The YLC-9B is anti-stealth capable, not marketing. Actual technical capability. VHF frequencies that can see aircraft designed to be invisible to normal radar, like the F-35, which operates right there. Plus 20 HQ-19 anti-satellite interceptors, designed to cut off the enemy's access to space-based intelligence. In plain English, to blind the satellites that guide American operations. Put it together, and you don't have random weapons. You have an integrated area denial system. Military term, anti-access charge area denial, A2 Anno Domini. The strategy is simple. Create a bubble where operating becomes dangerously expensive. Multi-layered air defense, stealth detection, satellite blindness, and at the center, 50 missiles that move at speeds American defenses struggle to intercept reliably. Iran already had defense systems. What China just delivered isn't a supplement, it's a transformation. The airspace around the Persian Gulf just became more complicated for any American pilot. And the maritime corridor of the Strait of Hormuz, through which 20% of the world's oil flows, just became more dangerous for any American warship. But here's the thing nobody's asking. Why send the CM-302 back? A missile that just failed in combat? When a weapon fails, you don't sell it again. Unless the failure taught you something worth more than success would have. Look at June 2025. The 12-day Iran-Israel war was fast, violent, and informative. Iran launched drones and missiles. Israel fired back with U.S. support. The U.S. Navy was there, active defense systems running in the Red Sea and Persian Gulf. The CM-302s fired. They didn't hit American warships. Officially, a failure. But think about what that actually revealed. Every single CM-302 the U.S. Navy intercepted generated data. Which system made the intercept? At what altitude and speed was the missile detected? What was its radar signature from the American perspective? How did escort ships reposition when the alert went out? How fast did the CIWS, the Phalanx system, engage? From what angle? Every American response to that Iranian missile was an open window into how the U.S. Navy actually defends itself. Iran couldn't use it. They don't have the processing systems, the intelligence networks, or the weapons programs to turn that data into anything useful. China does. And if China was watching, and everything points to yes, then every interaction between those Iranian missiles and American defenses was a masterclass in intelligence gathering. The failure didn't eliminate the CM-302, it was the whole point. Think about a safecracker. He doesn't need to crack the safe on the first try. He just needs to try. Every blocked attempt teaches him something about the lock's mechanics. China tried with Iranian missiles and learned how Americans really defend themselves. Not in theory, in real combat. Now they're about to try again. That's why China's sending the CM-302 back to Iran in March 2026. Not because it works. Because what it'll reveal is worth way more than 50 missiles cost. And while Iran was receiving more CM-302 missiles, Chinese engineers were testing something completely different. And the timing is no coincidence. To understand why the transfer to Iran is so strategically calculated, you need to look at what China was doing in parallel with its own carrier killer program. April 2025, an H-6N strategic bomber test launches an air-launched DF-21D hypersonic vehicle. This isn't basic rocket science. It's testing launch capability from a moving aerial platform, meaning the weapon doesn't need a fixed silo anymore. It can be airborne, moving, fired from anywhere. September 2025. Beijing's Victory Day parade revealed the YJ-20. Analysts called it finalization. In military terms, that means moving from development to production trials. Testing actual units, not prototypes. Critical difference: the design's locked down. Manufacturing is being scaled. That's real progress. December 29, 2025. The Type 055 destroyer launches a YJ-20 from the sea. The Type 055 isn't just another ship. It's China's premier destroyer equivalent to the American Arleigh Burke. Maybe better. A successful YJ-20 launch from the Type 055 means China has a surface platform capable of firing a hypersonic missile with an estimated range of over 1,500 kilometers. That distance? It forces American aircraft carriers way beyond their safe operating zones. February 10, 2026. J-15 carrier fighters, China's Navy jets, operating from their carriers, spotted carrying the YJ-15. Supersonic range over 1,000 kilometers. This isn't a lab test. This is operational. Carrier fighters with long-range anti-ship missiles means China's developing the exact capability Americans have had for decades. Launching powerful missiles from carrier-based aircraft. 4 test milestones. 4 different platforms. Strategic bomber, destroyer, carrier fighter. 12 months. Think about it. China's testing the same capability from every angle simultaneously. Long-range aircraft, surface warships, carrier-based fighters. No matter what happens, they've got a platform ready to launch. The difference between the YJ-20 and the CM-302? The CM-302 flies at Mach 3, low altitude, a few hundred kilometers range. Dangerous. But American systems intercepted them in June 2025. The YJ-20 is a different animal. Hypersonic Mach 6 or higher. Range puts American carriers at risk from positions we'd normally consider safe. And it maneuvers during the final approach, making interception exponentially harder. Physics is clear. At 6,000 kilometers per hour making turns, defense systems get seconds, maybe less, to react. See the pattern? China isn't sending its best weapon to Iran. It's sending the second best to learn how the world's greatest defenses respond. While collecting data, it's finalizing the next generation. Every missile Iran fired at an American warship that missed? Not a failure. A data point. China was collecting intelligence. This is why China's arms deal with Iran isn't just a weapons sale. It's something different. Iran isn't the target. Iran is the tool. Let's get concrete about what the U.S. Navy revealed in June 2025. The CIWS, the Phalanx system, the rotary cannon firing 4,500 rounds per minute, has specific engagement windows. Minimum warning distance, detection angles, tracking speed. None of it's officially public. But every live missile interaction generates data you can reverse engineer. It's like learning an opponent's chess strategy not from books, but from playing real games. American escort ships, Arleigh Burke destroyers protecting the carrier reposition when threats appear. This creates patterns. Where do they move? How fast? What's the defensive radius a destroyer provides? Fire 2 CM-302s from different angles. Which defense gets priority? Which ship hangs back to protect? Which one attacks? These answers exist. They're measurable from the outside. American electronic warfare systems, jamming, decoys, ECM operate on specific frequencies and patterns. Every Iranian missile launch, followed by American countermeasures? Measurable by passive sensors collecting data remotely. Signals intelligence satellites record electromagnetic emissions. China operates reconnaissance satellites over the Persian Gulf. They were there in June 2025. The data they collected wasn't about the Iranian missile. It was about how America responded to it. That distinction? It changes everything. America has the world's best naval defense system. But best doesn't mean impenetrable. It means harder to penetrate without the right data. If someone systematically maps how it works, blind spots, saturation limits, vulnerable angles, the equation shifts. China doesn't need soldiers in Iran to do this. Positioned satellites work just fine. Signals intelligence sensors collecting radar data. Analysts processing what American systems did during each interception. China's got all of it. The real disturbing question isn't, will Iran use these missiles again? It's, what will China do with the intelligence data the next time they're launched? The weapons package costs China $5 billion, though much of it's subsidized or on credit within their partnership. But the intelligence value from a second engagement, with better sensors and smarter analysis? That's measured in how much time it saves the YJ-20 program. And the YJ-20 can threaten America's most valuable asset in the Pacific, carrier strike groups. A Ford-class aircraft carrier costs $13 billion. A CM-302 costs roughly $15 million. But the YJ-20, once operational, costs a fraction of that and reaches targets the CM-302 can't. The real cost advantage isn't in the CM-302. It's in what it finances, perfecting the next system. Here's what's especially dangerous. America can't just build defenses against a missile they've never seen in actual combat. China's building the YJ-20 based on real data about how the U.S. Navy actually defends itself. Not simulations, not theory. Real combat. The difference is enormous. Knowing exactly where the lock is weak versus building generic insurance. This isn't speculation. Asia Times reported in February 2026 that China was close to giving Iran a carrier killer as U.S. flat tops close in. Forecast International confirmed in late February that Iran turned to China and Russia after its losses. The pattern's documented. The logic's obvious. The U.S. Navy knew about airdropped torpedoes before Pearl Harbor. They just didn't believe anyone would actually use them in shallow waters. That mistake cost 8 battleships. The U.S. Navy understands the concept. Hypersonic missiles from multiple platforms using targeting data from real engagements against American defenses. The question is whether they're moving fast enough to respond. An American carrier strike group is the most powerful military tool on Earth. A Ford-class, the most advanced carrier ever built, carries over 75 aircraft, launches and recovers them at unprecedented rates, protected by destroyers, submarines, and integrated defenses. Cost: $20.25 billion per group, including planes and escort ships. For 8 decades, this strike group has been America's ultimate show of force. The reason presidents send carriers to crisis zones instead of diplomats? The strategy's flawless, as long as enemies can't sink one. Carriers aren't just vulnerable. Their vulnerability is catastrophically unprecedented. A sunken carrier isn't just lost equipment. It's 5,000 American sailors, the world's most powerful symbol of military dominance, burning in the ocean. A political crisis with no parallel since World War II. Washington's leadership knows this. It shapes where carriers go, what risks are acceptable, which conflicts get military responses versus which ones get backing down. An adversary that can credibly threaten a carrier doesn't need to sink it. Just enough doubt about whether they can. Doubt that makes an American president hesitate before sending a strike group within YJ-20 range. That hesitation, that shift in political calculation, is a strategic win for China already. No shots fired. China's YJ-20, calibrated against real American defense data, might be right on that line. American strategists get it. That's why distributed lethality has gained traction, spreading strike power across smaller platforms instead of concentrating everything in carriers. But transition takes time. Restructuring the Navy doesn't happen in one budget cycle. Until it's done, the carrier stays centerpiece and vulnerable. Here's the scenario. Iran uses the CM-302s in the next conflict. Every launch, every intercept, every American ship maneuver gets captured by Chinese intelligence. This data feeds into the YJ-20 program, already in final testing across multiple platforms. Within 18 to 24 months, the YJ-20 goes operational, not hypothetically, calibrated against real American defenses in actual combat, with parameters derived from empirical data. An American carrier in the South China Sea, Taiwan Strait, or Persian Gulf faces something new. A missile specifically engineered to overcome defenses it's already demonstrated, not theoretical. Documented in real combat. That's the difference between conventional weapons development and what China's doing. Not isolated development. Using the enemy's battlefield as a lab. The Pearl Harbor parallel isn't overblown. In 1941, American naval doctrine was built on battleships. The Japanese studied how the British used aerial torpedoes in shallow waters at Taranto in 1940, then realized Pearl Harbor was the same setup. Americans knew aerial torpedoes existed. They just didn't reconfigure their defenses fast enough. The problem wasn't ignorance. It was refusing to accept that the power balance had shifted before it was proven in violence. Result: Pacific Fleet destroyed in less than 2 hours. What's happening now isn't China building the next Pearl Harbor. It's China carefully studying how to overturn the power balance America's maintained with carrier supremacy since 1945. And the Navy's window to close this vulnerability is closing fast. Where does this go? Not decades. The next 18 to 24 months. Scenario 1. CM-302s get used again. Iranian nuclear talks collapse. Conflict escalates. Iran uses what it has. 50 new CM-302s ready to go. Every launch is another data collection opportunity for China, this time with better sensors and smarter analysis than June 2025. The second test always beats the first because you know what to look for. Scenario 2. YJ-20 goes operational without Iran launching anything new. Testing Pace 4 milestones in 12 months suggests full operational status in 2026 or 2027. Before a Taiwan crisis or South China Sea escalation, the risk equation for carriers fundamentally shifts. An American commander positioning a strike group 1,000, 500 kilometers away from an opponent with operational YJ-20s makes decisions that didn't even exist 5 years ago? China could project an area denial zone using Iran in the Middle East, their own territory, and naval platforms in Asia, creating a geographic arc where carrier operations become prohibitively expensive. Not impossible. Prohibitive. And prohibitive is enough to change American decisions in a crisis. The big question, is America responding fast enough? There are countermeasures. High-energy lasers for point defense advancing. Helios already installed on destroyers. Hypersonic defenses in development. Distributed lethality spreading power across more platforms instead of carriers gaining Pentagon budget. But there's a crucial difference between technologies in development and operational systems ready to deploy. China's on the right side with the YJ-20. America's still developing. Watch these indicators. CM-302 used by Iran signals the second experiment is active. YJ-20 operational status, full combat readiness, marks the finish line. China-Iran joint naval exercises. American response. Pentagon hypersonic acceleration. Carrier repositioning in high-risk zones. The real nightmare for the Navy? It's not that Iran has carrier killers. It's that China is using every Iranian launch to map American defenses. The YJ-20 is being built around that data. March 7, 2026. China sent the same missiles to Iran that failed against the U.S. Navy. Seemed senseless, but it wasn't. Strategic choice. The CM-302 did its job. Now the real mission starts. The U.S. Navy is the most powerful force ever to sail. But most powerful doesn't mean invulnerable. And history punishes those who forget the difference. This unfolds over the coming months. Indicators are visible if you know where to look. Want to follow the YJ-20, China's A2R Anno Domini strategy, America's response? Subscribe. Every week, this level of analysis on what's really happening behind the scenes of global power. The next move is already underway.